Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. Now, over the course of a number of past videos, it has been my great honor and privilege to be able to share with you some thoughts and comments I have about the films that are included in a recent release made by the Criterion Collection earlier this year in 2021. And this overall release has been designated by Criterion at spine number 1103. And this is that set, the Blu-ray box set, the collector set, Once Upon a Time in China, the complete films. So I have, over the course of a number of videos, been focusing some of my attention on each of the films included in this set, including the sixth film, Once Upon a Time in China and America. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to share some further thoughts on the set overall, including maybe the presentation, the actual packaging itself, the great booklet, which I've taken the liberty of pulling out here in advance, including the essays, including the layout, and some final thoughts and comments about this particular set before we move on. So in that spirit, my friends, let us just talk about this set overall. So once again, as the packaging indicates here, this is a Blu-ray edition set, and it comes in this wonderful packaging like so. And you take out the outer cover like this, and it has this inner compartment, which is a further continuation of this wonderful artwork. I really love this artwork design. It's really quite engaging indeed, and it has this fold-out system like so. I apologize for the discs. I know some of them are upside down. I really should have straightened them before here, so I apologize for my poor presentation skills. But hopefully the idea is being presented in that it is this two disc stacked compartment system. They don't touch in any ways, at least as far as I can see. So no worries there in that department. But we have the 6 discs. I should point out too the subtle yet very effective detail of the slight change in color tone as we get from the first film to the second film, 3, 4, and 5, 6. They gradually get a little bit darker and more orange or slightly redder as we go from 1 to 6. So that's an interesting little detail. So I'm very intrigued about that. Now the booklet will go together like so, I believe, sort of like this, and so it'll form like a kind of a nice, neat package, which will then fit into the outer compartment like so. But for purposes of today, I have taken the book out because I do want to showcase this. This is a wonderful booklet that is included, totaling 44 pages in terms of the insert. It's a staple booklet. I love this very much for a number of reasons. So first of all, it is a continuation of this wonderful artwork that is, let me just say, artwork is art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, illustration Jung Shan. So well done for this. I think it's a really vivid design. I love the use of the orange-red motif, and it gets gradually more red or redder as we go through the films up to the 6th disc. So well done for this wonderful package design and the font design, etc. And it's continuing on into the booklet format. And so in the booklet we have this wonderful breakdown of the films together with some photos and the like. Here we go, some examples. So first I should say that it breaks it down in terms of brief descriptions of the films, cast and crew breakdowns, plus a little write-up as to what the film is about. This film section gives a brief write-up for each of the films 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't give any write-up for Once Upon a Time in China and America. I think the reasoning being that, officially speaking, Criterion treats that 6th film as a quote-unquote supplement. I think one can make the case that maybe it's not really a supplement. It's actually its own feature film, as featured primarily as part of the set itself. But in any event, I think it would have been nice if Criterion had included one other entry for the cast and crew breakdown for Once Upon a Time in China and America. But that's okay. I mean, you can find those details elsewhere online or in other resource materials. But just please keep that in mind. It's a film, little write-up for each of the films, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But still, given that, it's a really great write-up. So it's a great first part of this booklet. But then we get to some real treats, the first of which being this essay, which is called Past Master by Maggie Lee. This essay is one of the best because it is a really nice breakdown of the film series, including the 6th film. So here is Maggie Lee too, also taking up in many ways the argument that was also set forth in other places like Tony Rain's interview, etc., making the case for the 6th film being part of the series. But that's not all that she's speaking about in this great essay. She's also talking about the overarching themes, the unity of the series, the significance of the various, say, historical references and the potency of the currency of the contemporary times, etc., and the context of Choi Hak and his filmography and his career, the context of Hong Kong cinema, etc., etc., and then some write-ups about the films themselves, including the 6th film, as I indicated. So this is a splendid, splendid essay, Maggie Lee's essay, Past Master. Please, please, please check it out if you are interested in these films. It is a really wonderful write-up and well-reasoned, well thought out, and excellently written. Again, Maggie Lee's Past Master. But that's not all, because we have one more essay which starts here, and it's called Life of a Legend, A Brief History of Wang Fei-hung on Screen by Grady Hendrix. This essay by Grady Hendrix is a delight. This is it's talking about slightly different matters or aspects than the Maggie Lee essays. So these form a nice complements to each other. But what's so great about the Grady Hendrix essay is that it gives some background information about the past cinematic expressions of this character, Wang Fei-hung. Quan Ta King is a name that has come up so many times in the context of cinematic expressions of Wang Fei-hung. And rightly so, because Quan Ta King is, for many people, the ultimate cinematic, Quan Ta King's performance is considered to be the ultimate expression of the Wang Fei-hung character in cinematic form. So we have some information about those series of films from late 1940s, 1949, stretching out into the 50s and 60s, and then going into a little bit into the 70s. But that's not all. There have been other cinematic interpretations of the Wang Fei-hung character prior to the early 1990s. And that's not true exclusive of cinema. It's also true of a certain TV as well. So this is overall a brilliant, brilliant essay, a reference point. Anyone who is interested in reading up a little bit more about the various through lines of the continuity in the cinematic expressions of the character of Wang Fei-hung, this essay is providing a lot of very helpful details and information. So, and it really makes a viewing of Once Upon a Time in China, these films, even more stand out, because we realize that there are actually some very direct lineage linkages between the films and the actual person of Wang Fei-hung himself. So this is absolutely splendid. And of course we get a lot of information about these past films, and it makes us wonder and hope that maybe these other films might be discovered to be still surviving somewhere, to the point that they can be shown to the world for everyone to see. We can always hope and pray that some kind of miracle like that might happen. But in the meantime, we can still read about it, and we can still learn from great scholars and academics and essayists like Grady Hendrix and Maggie Lee and others to show us a little bit about what this great cinematic past was and is, and how it's being celebrated to this very day. So this essay by Grady Hendrix is utterly delightful. It is really one of the best that I have come across in the great grouping of essays from Criterion releases throughout the course of this year, 2021. This is a standout, really, really wonderful. So I cannot stress enough how I've read this so many times. It's great. So please, once again, it's the essay by Grady Hendrix. It's called Life of a Legend, A Brief History of Wang Feiheng on Screen. And then there is information in the back about the transfer information. I should point out too that there is no information necessarily about part 6 per se about the transfer. So that's another detail that I wish could have been included. But oh well. Still, I think overall, as a type of package, this booklet, being part of this wonderful set release, is a great, great highlight. So please check out this wonderful set if you have not done so already. And with that, my friends, let me now make some final remarks about this set, at least in terms of my own personal journey through it. I've mentioned that there are a number of points that one could say in terms of criticisms of this set. Maybe I haven't mentioned in some of the other discussions, but we should point out too that there isn't any, say, a TV series, any TV series inclusion. That would have been really interesting. Of course, we also understand from the Grady Hendrix essay and elsewhere that there have been many attempts at trying to tell the Wang Feiheng story, both on cinema screens and also TV screens. And so even if there had been some inclusion of some television series work, I think the understanding is still there that it would have just been one representation of a whole sea of representations of the Wang Feiheng character. But still, it would have been interesting to have some kind of inclusion in that capacity. We don't get it here in the Criterion release, so that might be seen as being somewhat of maybe a drawback. But after all, it is being marketed. This set is being marketed as Once Upon a Time in China, the complete films. And we understand too that the complete films here is referring to the cinematic legacy as brought forth initially by Choi Huk and initially by Jet Li, and then also Vincent Zhao, but then overall under the sort of the guidance, if you will, and the producer and director guidance of Choi Huk and crew. So it is being marketed in terms of the focusing in on the films. So it may be in that way one can understand the non-inclusion of certain TV works, although it would have been interesting if more information could have been included in that capacity. I think also another critique that could be made, or criticism that could be made, is something that I have mentioned earlier in past videos, which is it seems to be that there is maybe a lack of commentary tracks, which is a shame. There is also maybe we're not getting all of the supplements that have ever been created for these films. We're not getting different versions of the films. We're getting the restoration versions of the films, but we're not getting other non-restoration versions and the like. That would have been really good to have, at least as far as sort of comparative analysis goes, along the lines of maybe, say, another set or other sets that we've seen in the past where we only got the restoration versions for the most part anyway. It would have been nice to have at least some frame of reference just to give us, the viewers, an opportunity to make our own decisions as to which versions that we might individually prefer. However, also we should say too, and other criticisms, maybe there could have been more focus done on maybe, say, more supplements that are focused primarily or focused more sharply on part 4 or part 5 specifically. We don't get that many supplements dealing directly with those films, so those would have been really welcome indeed. But those are, I think, criticisms that can be made, and I certainly share in those criticisms of this particular set. However, and let me say this one last time, however, I do truly believe that this set is well, let me just say one more thing too, which is if you are interested in being, let's say, a complete, if you want to have a complete collection of Once Upon a Time in China films, this is probably not your only place to go. You will probably have to go to other DVD and Blu-ray releases that have occurred elsewhere. For instance, Eureka's release of this from a few years back as an example, and there have been others as well. So, but with all that being said, I will then repeat that in my eyes, one of the great strengths of this set is that it is focusing in, or the word I like to use is recalibrate. It is recalibrating the look or the outlook or the treatment of these films in the context of the series as a whole, not just the first 3 films, but the entire series, and including, arguably, Once Upon a Time in China and America. Now, I really appreciate that very much. We see that echoed in the Maggie Lee essay. We see that echoed in the Tony Raines comments. We see it echoed in many of the Choi Huk comments, in a lot of the supplemental material interviews. And also we see it in the form of the inclusion of parts 4 and 5. Now, this is one of the big selling points of this set, in my opinion, to get those films. And you know, I know that maybe those films aren't necessarily the most popular of the bunch. Maybe if one made a poll, maybe the films that would probably emerge more likely at the top of that favorites list might not necessarily be 4 and 5. I completely get that. However, the inclusion of these films still is a delight. And the arguments, I think, can be soundly made that they have a very close connection in terms of the thematic developments that we see inaugurated from the very early films. And so they have their place. And it's so wonderful that they are being treated like this by Criterion and by the participants who are making their commentaries about these particular films, as set forth in the supplemental materials and the essays, etc. So this is, I think, the great strength of this set, and this is why I think this set should be celebrated. This is why I know it's being celebrated by a number of people, fans of this series of works. So. Well done for this. Once again, it is not the ultimate complete edition of this set of films, and so if you are looking for a complete, full, and robust collection of all the releases of these films, you're going to have to get this plus other releases. But I think for those who are maybe visiting this series for the first time, or those who are who like these films, maybe not necessarily needing all of the releases of the films, but still like the films enough to have at least one release, I think this is a good option to have this Criterion release. Again, for the primary reason of it, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the 6th film. So this is, I think, overall my feeling in view of this set from Criterion. It's a wonderful set for those reasons and others, and I'm very glad to be able to have it here. I feel very lucky to be able to have it here, and I feel so fortunate to be able to have been able to explore it in this manner. And I hope this is not the end, but it is the beginning of my further re-exploration and discovery and rediscovery of these films in this wonderful series of films, Once Upon a Time in China, the complete films. Okay, my friends, so that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been quite a pleasure to be able to talk with you and to have discussions with you about this set and about the films included in this set. So thank you very much for joining me on this particular journey. As of this time, it's 2021. There are still some days left before the end of the year, and there's still a number of other Criterion releases that I will try to discuss between now and the end of this year. So I look forward to seeing you at the next video. But until then, my friends, please continue to be happy and healthy and well. And yes, oh yes, please continue to watch a lot of great, great, great movies. So thank you so much, as always, for your time, my friends. I very, very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.